So I just went to a wedding, and but I did prepare some jokes again for you guys and a great class. So we'll go through some of it, some really good Torah stuff, and then we'll talk about. First, we'll look at the jokes at the back. Oh, there's actually some sad stuff too, but never mind. It's all a joke. Here you've got Trump, and he's like, Hanukkah is the best holiday. All the holidays are total losers. That's tremendous. Everyone agrees. Happy Hanukkah.
Did he get impeached?
Right? And then,
did Trump get impeached or what?
I don't know. I'm not a political organization.
I don't know.
Pass. Neymar, מה שלומך? ברוכים הבאים. תודה. Did everyone get a sheet? So, I wrote some life lessons that we can learn as well from Chanukah. I wrote 8 different lessons. But first we'll look at the back pictures so you get excited or not so excited. The first 2 are more serious. Just yesterday, a friend of mine works in Hatzalah in a very religious neighborhood called Lakewood. And he saw a potato by the Chanukah which had a oil in it, and they lit it. And he asked what's going on. It was an old patient. And he said ever since he was in the hiding from the Nazis, he used that potato, he used the potato to light it, and that's all he had for his menorah. And ever since he said, you know what, I'm going to continue lighting my little memory. And this is a story that happened with a friend of mine yesterday. And you can see the picture there. There's a bigger picture, but I wanted to me it's so inspiring. Because this is what Chanukah is all about. It's like the light's still going on even in the darkness. Okay, there's another picture there. If you can see clearly, I'm sure you've seen this. The second one. This is the resistance. This is what resistance looks like. This was taken in 1931 when the Nazi regime was coming into power, and you see the flag of the Nazis versus the menorah. What's really interesting is that at the back of this card, the woman that wrote it wrote, "Our light will outlast their flag," which is an amazing thing, because here we are. Hey, how you doing? Here we are many years later, and you know what? We Aish their flag and lit our flag. How do you say it? What do you think about that? Right? Aish means to burn. So we Aish their dirty swastika flag. Yep, dirty swastika flag. And we lit our Chanukah. Okay. So then the next thing is you got all these jokes, whatever. How many times do I have to tell this putz? It's whatever his name is, Santa Monica coming out of the bottom there, right? And then you've got you got a bunch of jokes here. There's a very powerful. Here's a Chanukah on top of all of the previous philosophies that tried to destroy the Jews. You see that book? He's got a whole bunch of books. Whatever, the great Roman Empire, the final solution, all the people that tried to destroy us, ancient Egypt, and bada bim, bada boom, the Jews, the Hebrews are still on top. They're lighting their lits going on. Okay, and then you've got this joke here of a shirt. Imagine if your cell phone was at 10% blasted 8 days. Now you understand Hanukkah, or whatever, right? Anyway, there goes all your jokes. Someone asked me, so where do you light it again from? So I made a joke here. I found a funny joke for it. Candles start from right to left, but you light from the left to right. No, wait, that's wrong. Lighting from right to left, candles from left to right. No. Whatever, everyone gets confused. Okay?
I don't get that joke.
Well, because if you're bothered enough about it, you'll get the joke.
Candles start from...
Whatever. If you're bothered enough about Judaism, you'll get the joke. Right? So the people that... I'll just stop there. Okay, so I wanted to inspire you with 8 different things, life lessons that we can learn from Chanukah. Okay, it's Chanukah with a CH before it. Let's just get that straight. Okay, and if it's in Hebrew, it's Cha. Get your Chas right. Okay, yeah. What?
The H with the dot under it.
Ooh, H with the dot. So you got C dot H?
No, just H with a dot.
Oh, he's right. That's also Cha, right? If you got H dot and then that means Cha? I don't know. Okay, so I was just at a wedding and I flew back. Well, I thought I flew back because I drove pretty fast. Right? No, not too fast. I was safe. I was all under. I'm scared. I got a ticket once and never again. So, but I did drive quickly as I can back here, and I was at the Hilton And I was thinking, wow, this is an interesting thing, because it's one of the topics that I was about to tell you about Chanukah. And marriage in Hebrew is called?
Chatuna.
Yeah, there's chatuna, that's one name. Any other names for marriage in Hebrew? Nisuin, that means to elevate yourself. You get high when you get married, right? Some for longer, some for shorter, right? So then what else? What other name is it for marriage? Anyone know? Don't embarrass yourself. No. Right? Go on, what's the other name? Anyone know? Kiddushin. What does Kiddushin come from? Where does that sound like? Kiddush. What does that mean?
Holy.
To come holy. So the Talmud actually says that one of the rules is, and I wrote this at number 8, I'm just going to jump to number 8 because this is a very, very powerful message, that whenever you do anything, it's not really about what you're doing, it's about you. We forget that. When we do things, it's not about the thing you're doing, it's about you at the end of the day. So the Talmud, listen to this Talmud, I wrote it in Hebrew so that I can look good, and then I'll translate it and I'll look even better. Okay, so the Hebrew is a Talmud in Shabbat Chafbet Amud Aleph, Chafbet page part A, and listen to what the Talmud says. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Asi. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav Asi, in the name of Rav. By the way, if you ever looked at Talmud, it's always the name of the dude in the name of his rabbi who said it in the name of whoever said it. Why do you think we do that?
To give credit.
To give credit. Why is it important to give credit? What do you think giving credit means? Respect, but more than anything, knowledge. Well, knowledge. I've got the knowledge. So why don't you say I made this up?
Righteousness.
Right? Righteousness. Right? Humility. Right? That's what it means. It means that you're being humble when you don't take the credit and say, "Hey, I made up this stuff." I have a great idea that I want to tell you, and it's not your idea, and everyone's like, genius, right? And it's not yours until someone's like, hey, I saw that on Instagram yesterday. And then he's like, oh, whatever. Right? So there goes the example. You've got to be able to say where you got your information from. Judaism does that all the time. To show me the level of humility a person, takes a lot of humility to be able to do that. Anyway, off topic, but listen to this. So Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav Asi said in the name of Rav, it's forbidden to count money next to. It's always about money. We're talking about Chanukah gelt, right? No, we're not talking about Chanukah gelt. We're talking about anything, but you're forbidden to count money next to the candles. For the first half hour that you lit the candles, you must not look at money or use the candles for doing something else. Hey, let me just check if my wallet, oh, there's a light here. Let me just, why waste electricity, right? Or whatever. So you want to take and see using the candles. Can you do that? Says the Talmud, one must not count his money or anything else next to the Chanukah lighting. And then they said, the rabbi said, what's going on? Do you think candles? It's a candle. What's wrong with using a candle? Do you think a candle has holiness in it? Who cares whether you count for the first half an hour after you lit it, if you count your money next to the candle? It's just a candle. Right? Have you ever heard of a Jewish thing that we do and you're like, who cares? Have you ever been through that phase? Guys, you gotta do Shabbat from an extra 2 hours before, it's better, right? Or things that we do, right? In Kiddushin, in marriage, you should go on the left side first, or when you do your foot, you should do the left shoe, then the right shoe. Who cares? You ever had that phase where you're like, Judaism, wait a second, who cares? You ever had that phase? Right? There's thousands of nitty-gritty things that we do, and you could be asking yourself, who cares? Have you ever had that question? Mom, who cares? You ever had that about Judaism? Who cares?
Maybe.
Okay, so I'll tell you.
I don't think I did.
He's a tzaddik. So you can't count your money, but who cares? Listen to this. So the Talmud says, it's a candle. Does it have holiness? It's a candle. Where's the holiness in a candle? So what does it say? It says we have many other areas where we have a requirement to look after things. Like on Sukkot, we're not meant to, you know that for the 7 days that we're in the sukkah, we're not meant to use the decorations that we've got on the walls. If they fall down, you have to respect them. You're not allowed to use them for the 7 days that you have it up. And the Talmud says, well, we've got there, on Sukkot, you have holiness, and in many other areas you have holiness. So look what the Talmud says. I'm going to just quickly jump. And it says, do you know why we do it? Why do we say that you can't use the candle? Shelo yeh mitzvot bezuyot alav. Listen to this. Because that you shouldn't disgrace mitzvot. You shouldn't treat mitzvot in a bad way. Do you think that the candle has feelings? We shouldn't treat the mitzvah in a bad way. Do you think the candle has feelings? Anyone? Candles, feelings? No. So why do we have to respect the candle when we light it? Who cares? Anyone thought about it? Who cares? Let's use the light and let's get another flashy one and go. Let's go. Let's get things going. Let's have a party, right? Get some Laila Lavan going on and use the. Why not use the candle? Who cares? And the answer is, Shelot hei mitzvot bezuya alav. Mitzvot shouldn't be disgraced because it's not about the candle. It's about how you feel. Look, let me tell you something. In the marriage that I went to today, I was thinking about it. Wow, marriage is also called kiddushin, making yourself holy. Guys, do you think because you wrote a paper and you gave a ring to the other person, that's it, you're married forever?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. All it is a statement. That's all. You can have two people that had the document when they first met and they had a massive wedding, but they're not living together for the rest of their life. They're in the same house, they share the same kids, they share the same space, but they could not be married. I mean, by paper they're married. Great. But that doesn't mean they're really in a relationship. A relationship is something every day. So what's the whole point of the wedding anyway? And the answer is to instill within me. It's not about the ring. It's not about the wedding hall. It's not about the flowers. It's the picture. It's the package, how it makes me feel. How does it make me feel about the wedding? It makes me feel like this is something important. That's why we have the whole grand music and the flowers and everyone's, dressed nicely and you go up there and there's the music and there's the emotions. Because what is it? It's a statement for me. It's not about the wedding. It's about what it means for me. It's not about the wedding. Every single mitzvah is like that. Every commandment that we have is like that. It's not about the lulav and the etrog. It's about what it means to me, how it makes me feel about the things I'm doing. All of Judaism isn't about the thing you're doing, it's about what it's meant to make me do. And guys, it's the same thing in every area of life. It's not just relationships. It's not just in Judaism. It's in all areas of life, in work. It's not about what you're doing per se, it's how you do it as well that matters. Right? It's not just the fact that you have a job. It's like, what kind of work are you doing in the job? Are you working well? Are you successful? Oh, I have the paper. I have the document. See, I'm a doctor. Yeah? Let's see you open someone up and start doing the thing. Right? Just because the document doesn't mean that you're doing it yet. You see, I love the people with the massive titles after their name. I'm also an MD, I'm also a this, I'm also that. Why do you need to sell yourself? I mean, it's important to sell yourself, don't get me wrong. But that whole package after, I once heard someone came to me and he's like, listen, I want to sing, I'm a cantor, I want to come, maybe your synagogue or somewhere else. I have documents to prove it. I'm like, dude, you don't need documents to prove that you can sing. You just got to sing. Right? Send me a song. It's not about the document. It's about what you really do with the thing that you have. Does that make sense? It's not about the title. Forget the title for now. It's like what you do with it. The title. Do you know what the title's for? To instill within me that I have really worked hard for this. That's what it's for. But at the end of the day, what's the result? The result should be, am I able to do my work properly? If you went to college and you got a law degree, great. But what are you doing with that law degree? That's what matters more than everything. It's not about the law degree per se. That's going to help you because that shows you worked. But it's really about, are you taking that idea, that title seriously? What are you able to accomplish with that title? Make sense? So that's how it is with all the mitzvot. Yes?
But some people don't have a degree and they know what they're doing, let's say a doctor, but without a degree they wouldn't be able to get accepted to some jobs.
True, great. No, it's not. Because how do I know? You see, the title's also important. Would you want a doctor who says, hey, I'm a great doctor, but I don't have any I don't have any documents to prove it. So just trust me, right? Trust. I know what I'm doing. I've done this stuff many times in some faraway land, and I've cut up some people, and I've fixed them, and I sewed them all up. But you know what? I have the title. I just don't have the paper proving it because I didn't go to college for it. Get out of here. This is my life. You're going to cut me open and do your thing without... So at the end of the day, you need a title to show you worked and you studied, but what really matters is, okay, the title helps you instill within you something. What really matters is what you're doing with the title now. You got yourself. Oh, you got the Chanukah lights? Great, but what's the message that you're taking in from it? It's not just the fact that you lit it. Make sense, everyone? It's good stuff? Okay, so that was one of my Chanukah lessons. I think I'm done. Okay, fine. No. Okay, that was one. Should we do some more?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. Number one. Which one do you like? Does anyone have a pick?
Ooh.
I just read number 8.
Number 3.
Number 3?
Greatness is honest.
There's always another. Oh no, 5, 3. Okay. You know what? Let's just go from 1.
Number 6.
65.
Oh, 625? That's... Okay, you know what? Number 1. If you're going to do something, do it properly. Okay, that's a life lesson that we need to learn as well. So, mom says, hey, can you go and do me a favor and get something? For 2 weeks, you never listen to your mom. Finally, you decide to go and listen to your mom. How would you do it? Finally, you decided you're driving. You're anyway going. You're anyway doing it. You anyway agreed to do it. 2 weeks, you didn't do it. You anyway agreed to do it, you know? And then what happens? You're calling your mum the whole way. I don't even know why I'm doing this. The traffic's ridiculous. I hate what I'm doing. After 2 weeks, finally you listened to your mum and you did what she asked you to do. You can't just do it properly. You're anyway going to be in the car. You're anyway in the car on the way to the store doing whatever she asked you to do. I'm just giving you an example, right? You're in a relationship and you decided to do something special for your other side. Wow, great, but now that you're doing it, don't complain about it because you're anyway doing it. So please do it properly. Does that make sense? If you're anyway doing something and you're anyway going to now cut out 2 hours for your life, then make sure that you cut that out, those 2 hours in the right way. What's the point? You've already cut out of your life those 2 hours. So at least do it with a smile. And that's what we learn from Chanukah. How do we learn that from Chanukah? Because it says that specifically by women, but originally the law is in general, one should refrain, and it is in general, one should refrain from doing melachot, from doing work after you lit the candles for half an hour. You did the mitzvah, just do it properly. Right? One required to refrain from doing work, and it doesn't mean Shabbat, because this is not a Shabbat, but not heavy stuff, don't heavy running around. Just, you now lit the candles. Okay, don't just run off. Stay there for half an hour. Do the thing properly. You did it. Do it properly. Okay, that's the halacha. How do we know that? The Shulchan Aruch says in Jewish law that the custom is that women refrain from work during the time of lighting. The reason specifically by women is because the miracle of Chanukah was done through women. Did you know that? Yep, it was done through women. And the main decree of the Greeks was against women. I'm going to tell you a very sick reality, but the head of the Greeks thought he was a god. And do you know what he said? The day that any woman gets married, she has to be with me first. How sick is that? And thousands of people, if you were getting married, forced, you were taken, and you had to be with the king. Can you imagine how sick and disgraceful this is? But that was his mindset. That was their idea. He was like a god. And until one woman called Yehudit, a very brave Jewish woman, she went to over there and she started getting him tipsy, and she gave him some good wine and cheese, and he got all into his lactose. He must have been quite lactose intolerant. That's why we have a lot of milk. And he got pretty tired, and he took him out. She killed him, and she left. And just like that, a powerful Jewish mother was the one that ended that whole story. Okay, so it was that story actually happened a while before the story of Chanukah, but that was the start towards the change and the end of the Greeks until the Hashmonaim times. Okay, so here we have that's the reason why they are specifically more in celebration of this holiday of Chanukah than the men. Interesting. Yes?
So what are they supposed to do for half an hour after the lighting?
They could do anything they want, but they shouldn't be, like heavy running around, working, or dealing with just relaxing with the family, spend time with the family. That's the real idea. It's like, hey, just sit down, have a coffee. Yeah, just relax. You could take out your phone, but that's nothing to do. It's not Shabbat. Okay, it's not like, hey, Shabbat, hide your phone under the table. No, you're not going to do that either, right? But it's hey, Shabbat, whatever. It's take this time seriously. Make sense? Okay. So that's number one. If you're going to do something for your mom, your spouse, for your job, for your thing, you're anyway there. Do it properly. You can't lose. You're there for 8 hours, just do it properly. The more you complain about it, the more you suffer, and the less likely the people that you're around are going to like you. If you're going to do something, do it properly anyway. You're anyway spending. I remember when I was in yeshiva, so we were studying Talmud, and I'm like, this is really hard. We're just like grinding this Hebrew stuff, and it's just like, Rashi and Tosfot, and it's like getting into my brain. And my friend next to me was just getting really frustrated. He's like, I'm going out. So I said, you know what, we're going to go out, but for this 10 minutes that we are saying that we're here, let's just take this 10 minutes seriously. We'll go out after 10 minutes. But now that we're here for 10 minutes, at least we've got to do some learning for the next 10 minutes. So for the 10 minutes that we're here, we're going to do it properly. Bada bim, bada boom. Those were the best 10 minutes that I learned. I remember those 10 minutes clearly till today. Because it's if I'm going to do it, let's just do it properly. Stop complaining. Let's just do this properly. It's a powerful idea. If you're going to do something, do it properly. Okay, number 2 is spirituality can actually be very unspiritual. Can you imagine that? Well, we have a lot of people that claim they're doing things in the name of spirituality, and they're not very spiritual. True? And guess what? It could be the same by Jews. You can have a very religious-looking man, but the way that he's doing the things that he's doing could very well be that it's not with the right reasons of spirituality. It's just to eat lots of food without having the content and the mindset of being spiritual. Okay, so spirituality can actually be turned into something which is very unspiritual. You've got to be careful. Wake up. Ask yourself, is it my evil inclination that's making me think I'm doing something which is spiritual, as opposed to am I really being spiritual? Because just because it's labeled as spiritual doesn't mean it is. It could be that you're doing something very unspiritual. It's a very important idea in life as well, in work, in many areas. If you're doing something, just because you're now labeled as if you're doing it, doesn't mean you're necessarily doing it. Kind of similar to what we said before, but here in the terms of spirituality. How do I know this? Because we have an halacha, again, similar to what we said before. You can't use the lights for your benefit. Okay? In Talmudic terms, it says it is forbidden to use the lights. Asur lishtamesh le'orah. And we are also not meant to light from one candle to the other. Did you know that? If you have a candle, next time, right? If you have a candle, you use the candle and you light all 3. But you don't say, there's 3 candles here, let me just take one. My match went out. Let me take from one which I already lit and use it to light the others. You're not meant to do that. Why? Because you're not allowed to use the lights at all.
Not the shamash too?
The shamash you can. That's the different thing. The reason given is because we need to show that we are doing the mitzvah and not lighting the lights for our own benefit. Okay, and what's the idea? Although it's still considered the mitzvah when you pass the light from light to light, we must be aware that we could do spiritual things that can be unspiritual. Right? We could do things which are spiritual, but they're really just for my benefit, and they're not really for the right reasons. We could be lighting a candle, and I'm thinking I'm doing it for the mitzvah, but I'm really just doing it for myself. Can that happen to anybody? So, for instance, giving charity is a great thing, but giving charity so that everybody should know your name, and it's good publicity, is also great, but it's not the same level of charity. Make sense? Yeah. The highest level of charity is giving it so that because I really believe in the cause. Right? If I'm doing it just for my name, what happens if my name doesn't show up? They said they're going to put my name on it and they didn't even put it on. You said you're going to put my name, right? If you care about the charity, who cares? I gave the charity. I'm happy that this building exists. Make sense? So we have the same rule in Judaism. Rabbi Tzadok says, do not use Torah to crown yourself for self-exaltation. Look how wise I am. and use it to, this is a very dangerous thing, because when you have lots of knowledge, you can use it for power. And you can use it against other people. And that's very dangerous. So Judaism is taught that if you know some information in the Torah, don't use it to have power against other people. And it also says, don't use it as a spade with which to dig, which means don't use it as a form of making big money. If you're making big money, so then you're doing it for your own self-benefit, using Torah for your benefit. That's something which we're not meant to do. You're allowed to take money in order to live, and so on. But you're not allowed to use that job of teaching people Torah in order to become this super wealthy guy. You know, all the people are coming next to you, and you're well hooked up. You know, if you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. You do me a favor. You know, and you get all the big people. You're only a rabbi to the wealthy, and anyone who's not got big money, you're like, forget him. And that doesn't make sense. Okay, that is something which is very. Don't do your spiritual things. Don't do Torah and use it for your benefit, because what we learn here is that you could be spiritual but really unspiritual, if that's a word. Okay, make sense? Okay, number 3, there's always an alternative way out. Okay, we have something like Tilly mentioned. We have something called a shamash, which is this light here. Okay, so tonight is 3 lights, but we have this extra light over here. Do you know why? Does anyone know why we have the extra one? So tonight's number 3. Everyone's looking out the window like, hey, what's going on? There's another 4th. So what's that one about? Does anyone know?
To use it for...
So that I wouldn't ever come to using the other 3. Does that make sense? If I have the middle one, so at least I have a light that's watering down, so to speak, the other lights. Meaning, I'm reading from the main light in the middle. I'm not only reading from those 3, so I'm never really using those lights. Did you know that's why we have a shamash? Shamash means it serves the purpose. It's something which we can use. It has a shimush. All the others have no purpose. So what do we learn from that? Well, in Judaism, there's always a way out. Did you know that the Talmud says, hey, for every non-kosher food, there's a food which is kosher, which tastes exactly like it. So you like some bacon in the morning? Right? We can get you some bacon, which would be just as good as your good piece of chazer in the morning. Right? And if you like some shrimp, we'll get you some kind of weed that will taste just as shrimp. I don't know. Right? If you smoke it hard enough, you will taste shrimp. So, get me some of that. Okay, don't worry, I've got you. I'll get you hooked up. Okay, so what do we learn from there? So what do we learn from the middle light? We learn from the middle light that there's an alternative. It's true. Hey, you can't benefit from the lights, but you can now. Why? Because I put a middle light there. Right? So now I can. I've got away with it. Right? The message is, look, Judaism's not out there to beat you. You know, do you know why we have boundaries in Judaism? To free you. You ever thought about this? Someone told me this amazing idea. If you look at the top of a very tall building, right? You go on listen to this, it's amazing. You listening, Sam? So you go on a tall building, tall building, and on the top, there's no walls around the top of the building. No walls. And there's a bunch of kids playing ball. Where do you think they're playing?
On the top.
They're playing on the top, yes. That's what I said. Right, but where about do you think they're playing? In the middle, right? If they're on the edge, they're too scared. Look at, whoa! Right, so they're going to be in the middle. What would happen if you put a fence all around the edge of the rooftop?
They'd be more daring.
He says they'll still be in the middle.
I will.
And I think right, what would happen if you put the boundary around the top?
They play to the edge.
They'll play to the edge, okay? So what happens is, you've got the boundary, the kids know that they could play everywhere. So what did the boundary do?
Disappear.
Make them more free.
Oh,
Okay.
Clarifies things.
what did the boundary do? It frees them. Right? The boundary actually frees you.
And saves
Does that make sense?
falling off the
It saves them from falling off, but it also frees them. Where are they playing now? They're playing all over the rooftop, not just in the middle. Before they were playing in the middle, now that they have a boundary, they could play at any corner of the building. Make sense? So boundaries are there in Judaism to free me. It's true that Shabbat comes along and says, hey, you know, you got this Shabbat thing, so don't just hide your phone under the table so that the rabbi doesn't see. Actually put it away, right? So What's the message of Shabbat? It's a boundary, but it's there to free me. What am I getting instead? I'm getting a real relationship. I'm getting real conversation. I'm getting the present moment. Okay, so it's always, what's the boundary giving me, but what's it giving me instead? What am I getting as an alternative to the boundary? It's freeing me. Now sometimes there's boundaries in Judaism and the Torah says, hey, I've got a boundary for you, but guess what? There's always a way out. Oh, you've got the non-kosher chazir? We've got some great faking going on in our fridge. No? Right? And it's good stuff and it's all kosher. Okay, so that's really the idea that Judaism says that there's always an alternative way out. Okay? Number 4, we did 8 already, so we only got 4 left. Okay, 4 is greatness is in the unnecessary. It says, okay, you know what? Okay, I'll do it. Right? Because it's an interesting idea. Did you know that we got the oil? Right? What's the story with the oil? Does anyone remember? Too late? Too time? What's the story with the oil?
It was just a bit.
Lasted for 8 days. The small one that was supposed to last for 1 day and last for 8 days.
So it was a small jug. It was supposed to last for 1 day, and it lasted for 8 days. Why couldn't they use any other oils? Just go out there and get more oil. What was special about this oil?
It was pure.
It was pure. It was covered and sealed, and it was pure. In those times, there was purity and impurity. So this oil was pure, it was sealed by the Kohen HaGadol. No one touched it. But we have a big question. We have a rule that if you're using oil in the public, for public reasons, if it's for private reasons, then it needs to be pure. But if it's for the public, it does not actually need to be pure. It's called tchuya b'tzibur, that hutra b'tzibur, which means that tumah hutra b'tzibur, which means that impurity is allowed when it's for the sakes of the public. And here, we're lighting the candle, but it's the menorah of the temple for the entire Jewish people. So that was allowed even if it's impure. You don't need to have a pure oil for that. So why were they looking for pure oil? And the answer is, the miracle came even in a place where it didn't have to come. And that's what we celebrate. We celebrate the miracle that happened to us in an area we didn't even need it. God didn't need to create that miracle, because we would have been done with just using regular impure oil. But he said, no, I want to make a miracle for 8 days with this. What does that teach me? That greatness, what we celebrate, is the unnecessary things that people do for us. We're celebrating what God did for us. Do you know what it was? It was the unnecessary thing that he did. He didn't have to make that oil last for 8 days. It could have lasted for 1 day. And for the rest of the 7 days, we would have got impure oil. Fine, we would have been good with it. But he didn't want to do that. So what does that teach me? Greatness is found in the unnecessary way of living. You see, in a relationship, right? If you do the things you only have to do, you don't show that you love that person. You just show that you're in a relationship, so you have to stick to the relationship. If your job is to do the garbage, so you do the garbage, great. So your job is in the relationship, whatever it is, to spend some time. That's great, but it's in the areas that you don't have to do that really shows that you're great. That really shows that you love. If it's in the areas that you have to do anyway, who says that you're doing something special? It's in the areas that you don't have to do that shows your greatness. So greatness is shown in the unnecessary, right? We are celebrating Hashem's love for us, shown even in an area that wasn't necessary. In a relationship, doing what you have to do does not show love. Doing what you don't have to do and you still do it, that shows love. Make sense? You didn't have to do it and you still did it for me? My love. Okay, number 5 is reach for the stars. Anyone here have had someone come up to you and say, hey, Jews are good with money? Yeah. So how do you respond? I want to mince that guy, right? So how do you respond? I want to, how dare you? I once had somebody in England, I had somebody throw a penny at me. Penny Jew, pick it up, and then drove off. Penny Jew, pick it up, and drove off. Till today, I regret not taking that penny and hanging it on my wall and saying, I'm proud of that penny that you threw at me, and I'm a proud Jew. I'm not going to use it. That's what you thought I'm going to do. No, I'm going to hang it, and I'm going to remind myself how sick and ridiculous you are, and how happy I am for who I am, and how proud I am for who I am. But I didn't keep it. Until today, I regret that penny that I didn't keep. Right? So if when he said penny Jew, he really meant, I meant it. Really, that penny was valuable to me. But anyway, so what do you say when someone says to you, "You're good at money"? What do you respond? Oh, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
No, I want to mince the guy. What else do you say?
Say I'm not good at money. You're just bad at it.
I'm bad at it? What do you mean?
No, he's bad at it.
Oh, no. They bring him down. They'll kill you. They'll take out a knife. Right, so what?
You show him all your millions. Like you show him you have money.
And then what? Oh, so
then he's like-
then he proved that he's right, that all Jews are good with money.
That's good to have money.
Listen, guys, do you know what you tell him? It's true, we work hard, we're good with money. But do you know what else we're good at? Have you ever heard of a Jewish doctor?
No.
Oh yeah, Jewish doctors. Oh, there's a lot of them out there. You ever heard of Jewish lawyer? We're good at law too. You ever heard of agriculture? Well, Israel's the best, the most advanced in agriculture right now. So drip irrigation, we're pretty high up there too. Do you want me to go on? I mean, it's not just the money. I can give you a whole list. We just work hard and we're very successful. And also, we are a blessed nation. Because there's no reason in a million years that 25% of the Jewish people will make all of 25% of the Nobel Prizes will be Jewish. It doesn't make sense, against all odds. It's too small of a number for us to make that many Nobel Prizes. There's got to be something going on. Okay? So, what's our secret? And the answer is Chanukah. Look at what Chanukah teaches me. Chanukah teaches me that, do you know how many you really need every day? Every day, you don't need more than one candle to light. If you're in a hotel, you're far out, and you're not sure how you're going to do this, just take one candle and you did the mitzvah of Chanukah. Even on the 8th day, you could just take one candle and you're good to go. Did you know that?
No.
Yep. One candle is good enough. Shh, don't tell that to everyone because everyone's going to be like, why do we do 8? We could do 1. Well, here's my message, right? One candle is good enough, but we want to be better than good enough. No one says, it's true, it's following on what we said, no one says, I want a good marriage. I want the best marriage. No one says, I want a good child. I want the best child. No one says, I want to be a good father. I want to be the best father. No one says, and no one should say, I want to be a mediocre person. I want to be the best person that I can be. I don't want to be a middle dude. There's other people who are better. No, I want to be the best person that I can be. That is the ideology of the Jewish people. I want to be the best. I'm not looking at anyone else. I don't want to be the best you. I want to be the best me. Okay, and that is the story of the Jewish people. You think about it. Everything, so many things within our people is Jewish. Levi jeans. You know that's Levi
Levi jeans, yeah.
Right, yeah. Barbie doll. Oh, that's Jewish. Google. Well, it was Jewish. Right? And then you go with Facebook. Oh, that's Jewish too. Right? Let's keep going. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. What's the story of the Jewish people? And the answer is, we want to be the best. No one wants to work under someone else in some job for the rest of... No, I want to be the best person. And if I don't succeed there, I'm going to be the best in other areas. I'll be the best father. I'll be the best something else. But I want to be the... Thank you. I want to be the best I can be. Okay? I want to be the best that I can be. That is the message here. Okay, reach for the stars. Reach for the star. Okay, the next thing is, look at what you achieved. Don't look at what you have yet to achieve. So I remember when I started learning in yeshiva, and I was like, whoa, oh my goodness. We've only gone through one page. It's 4 months, and I finally mastered 1 page of Talmud. 4 months, 1 page of Talmud. And I looked at my rabbi, and I was like, Rabbi, just look at this thing, right? Look at all those Talmuds. I'm like, I only did 1 page, 4 months, and look how much I've got left. And he said to me, you're making a mistake. Stop looking at what you've not achieved yet. Do you realize what 1 page of Talmud is? Do you know how much Hebrew's on this thing? You know, the Rashi and the Tosfot and all the words. Do you know what's going on here? You can read a whole page. You know that inside out. Forget what you don't yet know. Look at what you do know. And that taught me a great lesson. It's true, we always say, look at the cup, right, half full, not half empty. This was another whole point. This was, look at what you've achieved in your work, not what you have yet to achieve in your work. And I'm talking about spirituality and all other areas. Look what you've done so far. Don't overthink what you've yet to do. How do we know this from Chanukah? Well, there's an argument in the Talmud. Do we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like we do now? That's Hillel's opinion. Or do we do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? And what's the opinion?
1 to 8.
1 to 8 every day. So day 1 we'll light 1 candle. Day 2 we'll light 2 candles. Day 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We go up. Why? Because we want to look at what we've achieved, not what we have yet to achieve. Don't look at what you've got still to do. Look what you've done so far. That will give you joy. Okay, so look at what you've achieved. Number 7, the last one, because we already said that the 8th one, is immerse yourself fully in spirituality. Anyone here been through a situation where you're like, I've tried Shabbat, but it doesn't work for me. I've tried it, it doesn't do my thing. Maybe you didn't do Shabbat properly. Maybe you never, have you really ever really done Shabbat? I've tried it, but have you really ever fully done certain things that Judaism tries to promote? Have you really done it properly? Because if you've never fully immersed yourself, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. Doing Shabbat for 1 hour is great. 2 hours is even better. 3 hours, yay! 4 hours, woohoo! Right? But at the end of the day, when you do it fully, then you get the full experience, then you taste it. Ta'amu u'u ki tov Hashem. It says, taste and you will see how delicious the words of God really are. But you've got to taste it. You can't half taste it. You can't be, right? You got to keep it in there and taste it and do it properly. Okay? And don't get me wrong, Judaism is not an all or nothing, but you have to immerse yourself fully in Judaism to really have its full experience. How do I know that? Well, the menorah used to be at the door. You know this? It used to be at the door. And on the door, the Talmud says, it should be on the right because we put everything on the right. But it says, no. With the menorah, you put it on the left. Do you know why? What's on the right-hand side of the door? Mezuzah. You've got the mezuzah on one side, you've got the menorah on the other side, and the Jewish person walking through the middle. What happens? You're immersed yourself in the experience of mitzvot. That's what Judaism wants you to do. It wants you to have an immersive experience. Get in there. Get in there with your Judaism, right? And it does that the same with mikveh. You know that mikveh is all about coming pure, right? So there's this whole mikveh. You have to be fully in to be considered as coming pure. If you have, it says, tovel v'sheretz biyado. There's no point of dipping and having something like a dead animal in your hand as you're dipping in. Doesn't make sense, right? Because you're dipping and you're still clinging to that impurity of that world. So if you want to have a spiritual experience, you've got to completely disconnect. Don't half be in there. Then you will feel the cause and the message of that spiritual experience. Anyway, so those are the 8 things. And finally, we said already, the 8, it's not really about the lights, it's about you. Judaism, you know the shofar? The same, the Talmud says, do you think a shofar really does anything? The answer is, what does it make you feel when you hear it? It's about you, not the shofar. It's about you, not the lights. In your life, in your work, in your religion, it's about you at the end of the day. It's the things you do are great. It gives you a great title, but what have you become from the thing? So you've learned in college for 5 years, prestigious college. Great. What have you done now that you've been there? Have you actually changed? There's some people that go to Harvard and they went to Harvard. Great. That's it. But they learned as much as anybody in any other school. Right? And then they get a great job because they've got a great title, but it may not last for them. Because the title helps, but then it may not last because they don't have the skill, because they didn't really take it seriously. It's not good enough to just have the title. At the end of the day, it's about you, not the title. So that's the message, and I hope my blessing to all of you is that you take Chanukah seriously and the message of Chanukah seriously, because Judaism isn't about anything else besides for you being the best you that you could possibly be. And I love you all. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome.
So we make it 8 days, 8 nights, and we call it 8 flames, 8 nights, and we light a flame for the miracle, and we light a flame for the miracle.